Okay, perfect. So let's do the 3 things now. Our kids just landed in Utah. Yay. Our teenagers are flying to the United States by themselves, and they're very tired. Okay.
Can I?
We're getting to this.
I know I have to say this. I love you guys so much, and you're awesome. Thanks. Great questions, great comments. I gotta kindly but firmly drop the
Oh,
handle.
I'm nervous.
I gotta drop the handle a little bit. If nothing changes, then nothing changes. If you don't change, nothing will change. And I just have to say that as firmly as absolutely possible. We cannot talk about changing. We cannot promise we'll change. You can't think about and write about how important changing is. You just have to change.
And at the very least, that starts by stopping what
Yeah,
you have been
right.
doing.
Stopping
To
is
me, that's
a
the
change.
easiest way. It's the easiest way to start changing because it doesn't require you to do anything except to stop doing what you were doing. And that's easier than doing something new.
But in your mind, you're thinking, well, no, I've got to do something.
Because if I let this go unresolved, my child's going to end up.
And I have to keep pointing it out because they did it again and I have to point it out. But then you stop yourself because you realize pointing out has never led to the result I wanted. It's literally self-sabotage. So I'm not going to do that. And refusing to do what you've been doing is the first step in change. And if nothing else, your kids are starting to notice, like, wait a minute, you always come in and yell at me after I do that.
This is
What's
different.
going on? Are you okay? And then they come to you. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fantastic. Well, you didn't come and yell at me. I know. I love you. Come here. Come give me a hug. You're like, well, am I not in trouble? Yes, sure you are. You're in deep crap. Come here. I love you so much. Right? You got to be different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's
Okay.
do the 3.
All right.
3 things. Number 1. And this is going to apply to all ages, all attachment disorders, because this is human biology. Okay. The first thing we have to remember is we have to help our children feel safe. Often the reason they're acting out, misbehaving is because they feel unsafe. Now, that can be for a lot of different reasons, but they're feeling emotions. And when you don't know how to regulate emotions, emotions are scary and unsafe. So our first job is to help them regulate their nervous system and calm down so they feel safe.
Basically, that pulls them out of fight or flight mode.
Exactly.
Because otherwise, they're always going to be fight, flight, or freeze.
Plus,
they're going to be freak out mode all the time.
Plus, when they're fight, flight, or freeze mode, they're not going to listen to you. Anything you say is not going to land in their brain, and they're just going to fight you and be defensive. Because what happens when you're in fight or flight mode? You want to fight or run away. That's the definition of what it is. So when they're not calm, they're basically in fight or flight mode. They're dysregulated, they're emotional, and they feel scared. Even though they would not necessarily articulate it that way, their nervous system, their emotional system is out of control, and that feels scary. So our job is to help them regulate those emotions. Co-regulation, because remember, they don't have a fully developed prefrontal cortex. They cannot, it is literally impossible for them to self-regulate. That's why sleep training with babies is not a good idea, because they can't self-soothe. They don't know how. They don't have that part of the brain. They have to co-regulate. That's why they want to nurse. They want to sleep next to mom. They want to be held. That's co-regulation. You're helping them regulate their emotions. But as children get older, we still have to do that for them. And if they haven't been taught, then we definitely have to do it with them, even if they're teenagers. If they have never been taught how to self-regulate through co-regulation, we have to start doing that now. So,
okay, what we're not saying here is that you should overprotect your kids and make them feel safe at all costs. That you're never going to let them around mean people, and you're never going to allow them to anyone to say mean things or disagree. and that you'll never disagree with them because I want them to feel safe. So I'll never take an opposing opinion. No way. We're not saying any of that. That's silly garbage that's being spread around right now. That we can't
Gentle.
have open debates on university campuses because somebody might feel unsafe. We can't express different opinions because somebody might, that's just a bunch of garbage. We're not talking about that. We're talking about when your child comes to you and needs to know that they're okay.
Or even if they're not coming to you, they're acting out. They have a tantrum. They're screaming. They're upset. Well, I want to say something about that, but our job is to help them learn how. They're doing that because they don't know what else to do to regulate.
Yes.
So our job is to help them learn how to regulate those emotions. Now, ideally, the best way to do this is early on. Too many parents wait until it's literally like a full-blown tantrum and then they're like, "Oh, I should do something." No. Start early. I start with the first whining or complaining. That's when I start co-regulation. Because there's no reason that needs to build and build and build. Why? It's literally pointless. It's just pain for everyone. So I see the very first sign of, I say the word complaining because often kids are complaining because it's their way of saying, I need help. Like last night, Sanji was telling me, like, my neck hurts and this hurts. That's her way of saying, I don't feel well and I need help. So I don't wait until she has to do that for hours and then she's upset and screaming and crying. Like, well, that's never happened with her, but that could happen. Instead, she came to me and immediately I say, oh, well, let me rub your neck, or why don't you lay here and I'll rub your legs. I help her to feel better. I'm helping her to co-regulate. So start early. Take the first sign to pay attention and say, oh, I hear you. Yeah, I hear what you're saying and I'm here to help you. That's my job. And that's when I respond rather than, and in fact, you've heard me say this before, like it's been over 16 years since we've had a tantrum. And that's because I help them co-regulate as soon as they start feeling some sort of emotion like that. And now they know how to self-regulate, so they don't need me to do it because they know I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to get a snack. I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to go outside. They know what to do to help them calm themselves down, right?
So let me ask a question. What are you inadvertently teaching your kids if you don't respond until they explode, right? Let that one sink in. Or answer, actually. It's not very rhetorical, right? Ooh, well, they don't matter that much because I'm not going to pay attention until there's an explosion, until things get really dramatic. Go ahead.
That the only way to get my attention is to have negative behavior
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You want my attention? You
or
better.
intent.
Yep.
Really intense.
It's got to be intense. And then finally I can get mom's attention or dad's attention. Let that sink in. This is gigantic. Because if the kid, when they're small, realize, man, the only time I really get attention is when I go big. Okay, well, what do I have to do? I'm going to go big because I want attention. I want a connection with my mom or my dad. I'm going to go big all the time. And so the kid's like, or the parents are like, yes, I don't even want to be around because the kid is just so big. And the kid's like, I want your attention, so I'm going big.
Well, and somehow inadvertently in our society, we've been taught to believe, again, this goes back to our society is just messed up. We've been taught to believe that somehow if we give attention to little things, we're going to make our children weak.
We're going to spoil them.
And we're going to spoil them. The reality is the opposite is true. When we pay attention to our children for their small complaints, they end up being less of a problem. They end up having less behavioral issues because they have that secure attachment back to the root, the trunk of the tree. When they have that secure attachment, they don't have to have all the misbehaviors because they feel secure. And that is our job as parents, to be there to give them that. Now, in the real world, is that going to be true? Yeah, great. Let them deal with that in the real world. We'll be there to help them through it. But at home with them as their primary caregiver, the most important person in their life, our job is to be there to help them and support them and to pay attention to the little things. And when we do, they don't become big things.
Yep.
Okay.
So our teens can handle big, crazy, hard stuff because they knew they could count on us with the little stuff.
Hmm.
And so they just grew up thinking, okay, we got this. Like I can take on the world because I know my parents are here for me.